I bought this apartment here in Punta Cana, and I believe it is the best investment you can make here. Let me show you the numbers as to why. Come on, this is a $170,000 one-bedroom apartment. I anticipate Airbnb at $100 per night, and I'm estimating 15 nights per month on average, or $1,500. The expenses are management at 25%, or $375, plus a $180 HOA plus beach club fee, plus $300 for Wi-Fi, electric, and other expenses. That nets me $645 a month, which is $7,700 a year, and that gives me, you ready for it? A 4.5% return. Now you're gonna say,
Jamie, 4.5%, that's ridiculously low.
I agree. But here's what you need to know about me. I don't invest in real estate for cash flow. Never have, never will, and I'm gonna give you very specific examples here in a moment. I invest for appreciation value. And while I bought this for $170,000 nearly a year ago, a one bedroom in this area has much more upside than that. How do I know? Well, this building as it sits is 1 block from the beach. Here's some footage from a prior video I filmed where you could see just how close it is. It's about a 2-minute walk. About a block behind me, a little further from the beach, there's a community called Secret Garden, which is sold out of one bedrooms at $215,000. Now they have different amenities and different options, but less square footage for a one bedroom, and it's selling for over $40,000 more. In addition, there are one bedroom apartments in the Cortecito Corrales area trading at around $250 to $260. Now, I don't put on my balance sheet anything more than what I paid when I'm looking at net worth and value, but I do project forward what I believe the value will be here. And more importantly, I look at why I believe the value will go up, and we're gonna show you that here in a second as well. All these things I'm gonna show you, just come along. But let me show you this apartment first. This is actually the model unit, and I'm gonna show you my unit, my apartment unit, not my unit. I'm gonna walk you through how I'm coming to the numbers I'm coming to. Let's take a look. So when you enter this one bedroom apartment, you can see directly in front of you, this is the living room area, and that leads out to a balcony, which I'll show you here in a second. It's a nice size. I don't know if you can see kind of how spacious it is. Over here, you have the kitchen and a hard hat that I'm supposed to wear at some point, but the New York stubborn kid in me may not want to. But here you see the kitchen being put in. This room over here will be like a laundry room, so you can see all the connections and everything else in there for that. When I come back around, you go in through this hallway to the right. Over here, where's my hand? There is the bathroom. So you can see the full shower against the wall there. If you go through here, you'll go into a full closet for the bedroom. You can see they have closet, what are these called? Cabinets or whatever in there. And then into the bedroom. It's a, adequate sized bedroom. You can fit a king bed in here. It's small, don't get me wrong. It's not some massive bedroom, but you get the point. And then out here is the balcony. So this is on the front of the building, and you can see this balcony goes all the way over from the bedroom side, which is right here, to the living room side and all the way through. Now this neighborhood is called Cortecito, and if you've watched my videos before, the road down there in previous videos was completely torn up. But today, now they've actually repaved the entire road, which just made this way easier to get down. Just driving in here today was a dream compared to even a month or two ago. The other issue with the Cortecito area is drainage. So while you've got new asphalt on the road, when it rains, this area has historically flooded really bad and really easy. There has been some drilling to allow more drainage in the past, but it didn't do a great job. They didn't drill deep enough. And the government is about to propose a plan, a master plan for this whole area, Punta Cana, Verón, Cortecito Corrales, that I'm told includes more robust drilling and draining. But here's what I love about this apartment and where I bought it and why I bought it. The owner, Boardwalk Developments, which is headed up by Cheryl Henderson, a friend of mine. Well, she's become a friend now that I've found her stuff and gotten to know her. She's legendary, and she understands that she needs to take action when action is not being taken. So, if you see this truck right here, right in that area, what that truck is there for is Cheryl, out of her own pocket or out of the proceeds from this building, is drilling already. As I record this about a week ago, we had some really bad rainfall, and I just talked to a few people on the street here and asked them what it was like. They said, look, over there on the side road going to the beach, it flooded, and it always does. They said, though, right here, the area in front of Maple Suites was actually really good. There wasn't much water here, nowhere near what it was in the past, and it drained pretty quickly. So that's progress. We're gonna talk about that progress, but let's take a walk and go see my apartment. So let me explain this whole cash flow thing, why I said I don't invest for cash flow with real estate. I started that way because that's what everybody tells you, right? Oh, if I buy this, I get X percentage return, yada, yada, yada. I've owned and sold myself 43 units of real estate. I think that's the number. 2 duplexes and a single family, that's 5. A 16-unit apartment building, that's 21. And a 22-unit apartment building, 43. Those were in Michigan, New York, and Cleveland. I'm getting a little lost here. These are the other apartments as I walk through, and if you've watched previous videos, you can see how much more dumb this is. My unit's on the next floor, so we'll go take a look at that. My apartment unit, okay? Although, I have been told that my unit could be on a separate floor from me. You know? I'll never grow up past the age of 12. It just won't happen. So on those 43 units, here's how I made my money. And I'll use the 16 unit as an example. Let's throw this up on screen so you can see it. My partners and I purchased that 16 unit for $755,000. What can I say? It was 2018 and Michigan was cheap. The average rents at the time that we acquired it were $500. All one-bedroom apartments. And the tenants had not paid any more than that for like a decade or more. The owner never raised the rents. The market, or so we thought, was about $725, and we had a plan to get the units up to that price point. But we had to buy it, we had to put a lot of money into it, new roof, new common areas, there were some units that needed major renovation, and we had to kick a few tenants out and redo their unit and everything else. It was absolutely a mess. So you know what we cash flowed for like 2 years? Nothing. Now, 2 years in, there were 4 partners. Don't ask why. It's a long story. It's way too many for a building that size. But 2 of the partners, who were a married couple, wanted out. So we went to the bank and refinanced. We purchased for $755,000. 2 years later, we refinanced at $1,050,000. With that money, we bought out the partners. So still no money in my pocket, but now I had half the building with my primary partner and friend to this day instead of a quarter. We continued to execute the plan, and what we found was every time we tried to rent units at $7 or $725, they went really fast. So we kept pushing the rents up, and we learned the real market for that apartment building, especially because of the work we put into it and making it nice, was more like $995 to $1,195, depending on the size of the one bedroom. Big win for us. Now, flash forward another 2 years. My partner wanted to sell. I was gonna buy him out, but we decided to sell anyway, and we sold that property for 1.29-ish million. Remember, bought for $755,000 in 2018, exited in 2022 for almost 3 million. So the money I made was not month to month on cash flow, and most real estate investors, by the way, they don't either. The money I made was where most real estate investors make their money, and it's one word, and if you're in real estate, you know it. At exit. That was 2 words, but exit was the one word that I meant to say. So when I say best investment, I'm looking at future upside, future value. I like when the area or the building or the property is completely imperfect. The less nice it is, the more I lick my chops because of the upside, because I know this. Cash flow ain't the play. It can be for a short period of time, but overall, cash flow ain't the play. Equity is the play. And at the place I am in life, I'm more about building up my equity than I am my monthly cash flow. I make enough cash doing something I love. I have my community in the United States with my podcast. That's my primary source of income. And then my YouTube channel and some of the things I'm doing here is a secondary source that's growing. But building my net worth at this point in my life, age 47, is way more important to me. And the best place to do it, I believe, is Cortecito. But the key to buying distressed is that it's hard. And here's the thing, when it's really hard in real estate, when you have to do work or wait for an area to improve or whatever, that's where the biggest returns are. When it's easy, there ain't no return. Not cash flow, not appreciation. Remember that. The best things come from the hard stuff. Hell, I have 2 beautiful children. They came from something really hard. Told you, 12-year-old in my brain. And I'm still on this unit talk, so it's floating around in there. Now, I want to tell you about the easiest deal I bought and what happened with that. But let me first show you the actual apartment that I purchased. All right, we're up on the 3rd floor. I believe this is the number E3, which is great. And we're gonna walk in. You can see this is obviously still in construction, but you see what it was, right? This will be the living room area. You saw it downstairs. There'll be the glass over there, which, by the way, the glass in that other unit was pretty soundproof. When I opened the door, I could hear the cars outside. With it closed, I really couldn't. And when you run AC, you won't hear it at all. Here's the kitchen area that you saw downstairs. Maybe we could put it side by side for a second here. So kitchen here versus what it'll look like in the new apartment. Laundry area is in there, as we talked about. So I walk through here into what will be the bathroom. You can see right now they've got some sort of scaffolding in here, probably to do lighting. But you can see this is where the closet will be with all of that cabinetry that you saw downstairs. And then into the bedroom. This is what it'll look like. That'll all be glass, obviously, out to what will be our balcony. And we were really intentional with where we bought. We wanted to be number 1, away from the road as far as we could be, but also, come with me real quick, away from the pool. For our guests that are gonna stay here, we don't want them to deal with that noise or the road noise if we can avoid it. All right, so I told you about what was hard. Now let me tell you about the easiest deal I ever did. Again, we'll put numbers up on the screen. In 2005, I bought a single family property in Elmira, New York for $142,000. Now this is why it was so easy. Back then, you could pretty much fog a mirror and get a mortgage. And you could do it with zero money out of pocket whatsoever. They would give you 20% down with a home equity line and then the remainder in a mortgage. So 142 grand, no money out of my pocket. Now I bought it because it was in an area that was inexpensive. It was a nice looking home, but the area was decaying. I could see that now, it's obvious then. But I went for easy, cheap, simple financing, done. About 3 years later, I moved from my job from there to Boston. That's where I met my beautiful wife. Here she is right here on screen. When we worked together, and I simply claimed her because I was the boss, she was an employee, so you can do that, you know? But we had to keep that home because I couldn't sell it. It was '08, not a good time to sell. And that area was going down. But we rented it. We lost money every year on it. Not so much, but a few grand because of sewer pipes going and paint jobs and replacing the kitchen and the bathrooms and all the things that a house needs. And in 2019 or 20, one of those, 14 to 15 years later, after all that expense, we bought it for $142,000. We sold it for $99,000. Now look, I could have held on in the market and maybe gotten 110, 120, maybe. But we were moving on. In fact, at this point, we were in Michigan. We had moved again for my job. We had kids. We were just done with the area. We didn't know anybody from that area anymore. So anything that happened, it wouldn't go well. Plus the area was already dying. So it was sunk cost and we moved on. The mortgage, thankfully, was only like $85,000 or $86,000. So after realtor fees, we actually took a little money at the end. But over the course of the whole of that home, we lost. And again, it was easy. Look, I'll share this real quick. We also bought 2 duplexes in a town called Oneonta, New York, a college town. And these things were a mess. We expected to put about $35,000 into each. We had to put 70 into each. There were needles clogging up the toilet when we picked it up off the floor. Like these were drug homes with decaying foundations. We bought both of them together for 170 grand. But you know what? We put in 140 and we made another 150 on them in like 3 years total. Again, those were hard. We were rehabbing them from afar. We were using my poor dad, who was in his 60s at the time, but he wanted to do it and we paid him a little money. He was sort of like GCing it for us. And again, we sold for a profit. So back to where I am right now. Cortecito, Punta Cana area. Let me explain a few things. Number one, I said that I'm expecting 15 nights a month over the course of the year. I say that because that's 50%, even though this area gets somewhere between 60 and 70% Airbnb occupancy. It's a block from the beach. But there's a sargassum issue. Some people might tire of the drainage issue until it gets fixed. So in the short term, I want to be conservative and just say, hey, 15 nights a month, that makes sense to me. But if it does perform at 60 or 70%, then hey, it's additional cash flow. I'm gonna be honest, if I rented it 5 nights a month and that covered all of my expenses, I'd be perfectly fine with that. Truthfully, my wife and I, we live about 25 minutes away from here, but there's some great restaurants and stuff down in this area. So if on a date night we decided the unit's vacant, the apartment unit, that one was weird. But funny still, I think. Let me know what you think. Are the unit jokes funny? Just say, good unit jokes. Or no, better yet, we love your unit, Jamie. That would make me so happy if I saw that in the comments. Spam the comments. We love your unit, Jamie. You have the best unit, Jamie. Jamie's unit for the win. But anyway, if we want to come out here for a date night and have our sitter stay at home with our kids, we can run over to Captain Cook's or Citrus or Castaways or Bruja Chupadora or Terra Negra or any of these really cool restaurants here and just decide, hey, a few drinks, let's walk over and crash at our apartment. That's honestly, in the short term, all I care about. I don't need this to make money. If it does, amazing. But I'm more interested in the upside. And if I had to project forward over the next 5 years, this $170,000 purchase could be as much as $100,000 more. Dispute it if you must. If you can't tell, I've had a lot of experience investing in real estate. I don't take this stuff lightly. I don't throw numbers at the wall to try to sell anybody. It's just, I don't need to. We're blessed to be in a position not to have to. But do I want to own? Absolutely. I want equity. I want ownership here. I have this. We have land and Meaches closing on a house that we're going to live in here pretty soon. Lord willing, pretty soon. Mortgages, man. What a pain in the butt. Let me show you a little bit more about Cortecito. Let's go to that apartment that we were in. It's a little nicer. Okay, so this, like I said, is Cortecito. We talked about the road and the drainage, and you can see this building across the street. Not the most beautiful thing in the world. And what I'll do is I'll run some B-roll, because as I drive out of here, I'm gonna show you what it looks like, the roadway out and all the stuff and the amenities that you have on this road, so you can get a sense of what's coming this way. From that area over there down this way. You're watching that right now, I hope. That's all on Dan, the editor. Hopefully he did it. And then in addition, I'm gonna show you the walk to the beach, and when you walk out on the beach here, so you can see about a 2-minute walk away, what you have access to. So it's distressed. They just redid this road. They just put new asphalt down. But I'll be honest, because they didn't fix the drainage all the way up, down that way driving in, there are already some spots, some divots. So again, some people are like, oh, they tried once and it didn't work, so that's it. That confirms my bias. I will not buy there. To me, I'm like, yes, baby, you gotta come back and do it again. There's too much investment, there's too much here. And when I look at the other areas here in Punta Cana, the evidence shows that they will improve this. Now I can tell you that this building right here actually is in the process of going up for sale. And when somebody buys that, this thing's getting leveled and something new is being built there. That does two things. Number one, it brings more value to the area if something's new and modern versus what that is right now. And number two, one of the other things to clean up about this area, especially at night, is the street peddlers, the riffraff. The people like pitching you stuff and wanting you to come do things and yelling at you to say, hey, come here, check out my place, da-da-da-da. And I don't know if you could tell, but that building is ground zero for all of that. So am I optimistic? Absolutely. But am I realistic? I believe so. Let's just test my theories one more time and then look at some experience. Theory one is there is upside value in this neighborhood. It's not getting worse. You can already see what they're trying to do, and the fact that they laid that asphalt down, even though they could have fixed the drainage first, just dumb. It shows you that there's interest in investing in this area. And I'm aware also that the new plan that's coming out is in part addressing some of the issues here. Number two, the amount of investment. I showed you the road, what's going on in this area. Honestly, the biggest threat for the spot right now is Sargassum. And I've got some content coming on that I believe shows that in the near future, there will be some help and improvement with all of that seaweed issue in Punta Cana all over the Dominican Republic. And number three, I don't believe in investing for cash flow. I believe in investing for equity upside, specifically with real estate, I mean. If I want cash flow, I'm just gonna dump my money into the S&P and allow it to send me back whatever return, 7, 8, 10% annually since 2000. But if I want a place for me to use, if I want exposure to this market, these are all principles of investing here that I talk about. Don't let it be the major part of your portfolio. Speaking of investing in real estate and land here in the Dominican Republic, invest what you can lose and go after the exposure and the upside. Don't believe this 12% cash flow stuff. It happens, but it's rare. It's the ideal spot at the right price, period. Now, my experience, I told you, when it was easy, the outcome was hard. When it was hard, the outcome was easy. When I say easy, I mean really good, very profitable. When we worked hard to refurbish and rehab property, when we bought with distress, it always returned more in the end. When we bought easy, retail, it always returned less. Heck, the house that we're purchasing right now to live in for ourselves is in a premier neighborhood. But for the size of the home, 4 bedrooms, the next closest property for sale is $200,000 more. We found over 2 years and tracked this property to strike exactly when the iron was hot, and we're willing to wait it out before it became available to us. Hard. Easy would have been just to buy the more expensive house. Now look, if you're curious about this building, I think there's still a few units left. There's a link down below for Boardwalk to get on their list, and they'll reach out to you via WhatsApp and can talk to you about this property. Be honest with you, one of the strategies a lot of people like to deploy here on pre-construction properties like this is to buy at this stage. Yeah, it's not as cheap as it was when it was first launched, but you can see obviously that the project is getting done. And I'm a big believer in Cheryl Henderson and Boardwalk. They are reputable to me. So I not only bought here, but I bought land from them in Miches. Again, that Miches land form is down below as well if you want exposure to that. Lastly, there's a bunch of links down below, one of which is the link to our website for the DR Inner Circle. If you want to be part of a community of people talking about this stuff more in detail, click that link and check it out. And if you need members of your team, like a realtor or an attorney or a mortgage broker, there's a ton of links down below. You can get on those forms and they'll reach out to you. Just know that anything down below that you select, if you choose to work with any of these people, they may pay me a referral fee. It's how I support myself and this channel so that I can allocate more time to building content. Look, I'm going to share one more thing with all of you on that point, so pardon me if I take a tangent. There are some influencers out there that warn people off of people like me, folks that are local, that are trying to get the message out, that all these people want to do is make money off of you. And I'm going to be straight up honest with you. I didn't move here with the intention of kind of having this level of a brand. My business, my income, all still comes from my entrepreneur network, speaking fees, and those sorts of things. And then I have real estate holdings in Denver and LA that are sort of my retirement, along with some Bitcoin. And I have some venture money in a coffee company and some other stuff that I dabble in. Lost on some, but doing well on others. I love making content. And I don't make something unless somebody's asking me for it. So at a certain point, when enough people were asking me for essentially help building their team, I said, yeah, you know what? There's some people I really like and trust that I use. I'll absolutely give you access to them. Now, could I decide not to take money from them? Sure. But why? The brand I have is a business unto itself, and therefore I need to support that business with an income. But only if you decide that it's something worth it to you. But I'll say this to you as well. If you get exposure to some of the people that I refer and you just don't like them, don't use them. And even if you do use them, do your own due diligence. Let your sniff test be up. Be skeptical of every one of these folks. I like them. Doesn't mean you have to. This feels a bit like justifying, and maybe it is. I don't know. But I'm getting a little tired of some of the rhetoric out there from these, what they call like OGs in the area, especially when I look at some of these other creators like Purely Walking and Nicole Abreu and Jonah and Jay. These folks are all varying degrees of experience living here. They live in different areas. They have different focuses, different income levels. Some are moms, some are dads, some are Dominican, some are not. And there's so much value in all of what they put out there because in the end, what it does is shares the beauty of a country that so many people are overlooking. And I think in many ways, it validates for those that are diaspora, Dominican diaspora living abroad saying, I've got this real connection with my country. I wish others could see it. Well, now you've got these people out there sharing that. And when some creators or some OGs, as they call themselves, seek to suppress that or warn you off, it just bothers me. I'll warn you off of me. Don't watch me. Don't click any links. Don't join the inner circle. Don't do anything that could ever financially enrich me. Just watch my content and then decide he's right, he's wrong. You might be an investor in this area saying, man, I'm not getting those numbers. I think you're too high. Or you might be saying, man, I'm getting better than those numbers. Or you might be saying, I've invested in real estate and I've gotten ROI every time. I only invest for cash flow. God bless you. Maybe you're doing the Pace Morby stuff with Subject 2. Good on you. I'm a long-term investor. Long-term investors want equity upside. So when you're watching and consuming what I talk about, and I'm telling you what I see as good investment, it comes from that perspective. I am sweating my cojones off in this apartment. They need air conditioning. And I think I've explained away all of what I needed to. Look, if you're curious about the progress of this place, up here I'm going to put the playlist of the few other times I've come here to show you step by step what's happening. I said a lot about believing in Boardwalk, and I want to show you. I put my reputation out there by saying, man, I think they're really good. And this playlist will help, I think, do that. Best investment in Punta Cana. Per me. I'll see you on the next one.